I've got a change in the agenda. I got Mr. Jim, can't see here, let me see what I got here. Jim, what's your last name?
Askins.
Jim Askins with Kentucky Wired is here to give us an update on Kentucky Wired project that's going through the state of Kentucky.
I know we have a lot going on. I'll try to be brief. You can always have some questions and answers. We have another meeting sometime. Just want to bring you up to date on it a little bit, and I don't know how much y'all know about it. Sometimes it's hard to do. Always like to ask the first thing is how many of y'all heard of it? Are y'all familiar with the Kentucky Wired project? I mean, David and I have met with it. I've met with Tom previously on it, but you know, it's a public-private partnership that began under Governor Scheer and continued under Governor Bevin. And what it is that it's putting infrastructure in place to get broadband access to all 120 counties in the Commonwealth. Like I said, it's a public-private partnership. The state created an agency called the Kentucky Communications Network Authority, and that's who we have our contract under. I'm on the private side of it. It's also known as KCNA, but my office is in Lexington, and I work for an organization or an entity called the Design Build Limited Liability Corporation, or the DBLLC. That's made up of Black and Beach and Leadcore, two companies. I work for Leadcore. We have designed the project. We also are managing the construction of the project. Now, in this area here in Marion County, there has been a third-party agreement with Bluegrass Network. I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But when you're talking about statewide, that's the organization or how it's all designed and everything. But what it is, and we also have Leadcore has a 30-year maintenance agreement on it. So when you're talking about that, this, like I said, this project is a P3 project. It's the first and largest P3 telecom project in the country. And I'm from Kentucky. I'm originally from Davis County. I live in Oldham County now. But you know, it seems like so often in Kentucky, we are at the top of things you want to be at the bottom of, and at the bottom of things you want to be at the top of. And Kentucky, we're actually leading the nation in this, and it's already seen some fruits of it, because U.S. News and World Report last year in their internet access report, we were 48. We've already moved up to 36. And there's still a lot of the project left on that. And that's important in economic development. You know, you always have a discussion on that. In economic development, this is such an important part of it, just like transportation, water, sewer, electricity. Broadband access is just as important as all those things, and this is addressing that. You know, and there's going to be approximately 3,400 miles of fiber installed. That what it is when you talk about from Seattle to Miami, that's about 3,000 miles. So that's a lot of fiber that's going to be installed. One thing I want to make sure that y'all understand about this, I mentioned KCNA a while ago. What this project does is it's called the Middle Mile Project. We don't go to homes, we don't go to businesses. Okay? The only places that the fiber is taken to right now are the places that the KCNA told us to go to, or Bluegrass Network. Those are the only places. I'll go over those in a little bit where they are in Marion County. But what that does is at least the infrastructure in place. The main highway is there so that each community then can look at whether it's incentives, whether it's a public entity, a private entity, a partnership, new or existing entities, to be able to get it out into the communities. And that's what all this is about. But at least the infrastructure is in place. Half the network is for the state side of it. The other half is for the open access part of it, where entities are going to be able to buy wholesale and sell at retail the broadband access of it. You know, we just mentioned economic development. This is important for that when you're talking about recruiting new industry, when you're talking about growing existing industry. Also, a lot of work from home opportunities now, either for yourself or either for other companies. You're also talking about opportunities. I hear a lot from real estate agents losing home sales because a lot of the broadband, there's not good broadband coverage out in the counties. So that will affect that as well, and again, increasing your tax base and things like that in your county. Education and research, you're talking about education, when you're talking about kids doing work from their pads, from their tablets, and their laptops, and you know, and so oftentimes have to go to a restaurant to do that. This will put the infrastructure in place with the possibility of getting that out there where they need it, and even people our ages and things like that, older people out of high school, getting their degrees, certificates, or whatever online, and that will help with that as well. But you're talking about government service delivery, which is really what half of this project is about. Public safety, healthcare. You're talking telemedicine. I was in Union County a couple of weeks ago, and they have a teledentistry grant that they just obtained, and they're going to be doing a teledentistry program online with, through broadband access, and they'll do it with video conferencing. So that's pretty neat too. Now what this is, the state is divided up into 6 areas called rings. Marion County is in Ring 3. Okay? And that's basically from 75 to 65, from 64 south down to the Cumberland Parkway. Okay? That's where it's going to. So you're in Ring 3, and Ring 3 is scheduled to be completed August 24th of 2020. The whole network is going to be completed in 2020, so approximately 2 years from now. It comes in from Washington County, and this is the end of the line. The end of it goes out actually to the Department for Community-Based Services on 634 West Main. And then I'll mention some of the other sites it goes to here in the county. Cabinet for Health and Family Services, the county attorney, 19 Court Square, the circuit court clerk, the judicial center, the health center on North Spalding, the county clerk, PVA, and judge executive's office here in this building, and the Department for Community-Based Services that I just mentioned on West Main. Those are the areas that it's going to. And like I said earlier, Bluegrass is doing the work in this area. But what we will do, I've talked about the maintenance agreement. We will come in, and we don't do the installation of the fiber, but wherever the equipment is supposed to go, we will come in and install it and test it and do all the migrating from the old system to the new system. And that's the part that we will do. We will be doing that for the next 30 years and taking care of it. I'm going to Washington County. I've already had a meeting up there a few months ago. I'm going up there to their fiscal court in a week or two. So I'm going around doing this. It's kind of bringing people, first of all, giving them a little bit of information and even giving them the update on the schedule and everything that was just passed out of the recent General Assembly. So, again, I don't want to take up too much time. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I will give y'all my business card if y'all ever have any questions or anything.
You all are working with the contractors?
Bluegrass, you work in conjunction with them? Are y'all competing or working together?
We're not competing, we're working together. That's what we do. I mean, Bluegrass is one of the third parties. You go out west, there's a lot more. Orangeburg Municipal Utilities is doing it in Davis County, Brandenburg Telephone around Meade and Breckenridge counties. Cincinnati Bell up in the northern counties, 5 or 6 up there, not just Boone, Kenton, and Campbell, but some of the others as well. So there's a lot of those third-party agreements that are in place. That's a way for them to save money, the state to save money, us to save money. And I say us as a resident of Kentucky, but it's also, they're using some of their infrastructure because they're using some of their poles and things like that, which helps, again, reduce the cost of the network.
How does that work with I know the Justice Center, they've got a state network already, but here and the Career Center and the Health Department, several of those have like Spectrum or whatever, a contract, under contract or whatever. Is this going to replace that, or what?
Yeah, wherever the state said that this network is going to go, they spend approximately $28.5 million a year to third parties for their internet access on their various networks. So they wanted to get control of that. There's some areas of the state that have really good broadband access and fast. There's a lot of areas that don't. So this is going to make all that consistent, and they're going to have control over it, and it's going to be a way, again, to help promote economic development because it's going to be in every part of the state, and it's going to bring in competition in areas that do have it. And even that, in competition, you're even talking about it also where that network is there so that if a Spectrum or somebody does want to connect to it later on, that infrastructure is already there, or if me and you want to start a business and do it, the infrastructure is there for us as well.
Like where Spectrum is already existing, or like a lot of the businesses in town, that's what they use for the internet, because it's, would they, can they stay with them, or are they, they can pick and choose, or it's just gonna be available? I didn't know. You
Yeah,
said-
it's available. I mean, again, that main highway's there. Again, we're not going, nobody, Bluegrass may do something with it, but I'm talking about the network itself is not going to homes or businesses. You know, if there are any companies, existing companies, or somebody wants to form a new company, then that network is here where they can tie into that infrastructure. And then it's true high speed, because some areas, I'm not saying here because I'm not familiar with it, but just because fiber is running through this area doesn't mean that it's connected at either end with fiber. So you see what I'm saying? So that's what it is. And this here is going to have a network where there's fiber all over the state that we'll be able to tap into if needed. And I gave you all my cards. If I could give y'all this toll-free number. If you have any constituents or anything, have any questions about it, please give them this, because we're able to track it better. The toll-free number is 888-511-9918. Again, that's 888-511-9918. Our website's at the bottom of that card, KentuckyWiredProject.com. The state network, or the state website, is KentuckyWired.ky.gov, and they have all the contracts and a lot of information on there as well. So both those websites give you a lot of information about this. If y'all ever have any questions or anything, please give me a call. I'd be happy to.
You said you'd be coordinating with the contractors for this work, is that
Yes.
correct? And when Bluegrass was here, we talked to them just about working with our local utility companies and trying to stay off their right-of-ways as much as possible, and
Right.
so we, would like to bring that up to you as well, so.
Yeah, and that's something we take very seriously. We don't, the last thing we want to do is disturb anything. I mean, with construction that goes on, sometimes there's going to be some ruts made or something, but we want it to be like we were never there after the work was completed and everything. We take that very seriously, and we will always do that. But if there's ever any issues with that, please be sure to let me know.
Right. Thank you.
Anything else?
What's the time frame again, you think?
The scheduled completion for this ring, David, is August 24th of 2010, or 2020, I mean, August of 2020. Like the whole state will be completed in 2020. That's the schedule right now.
All right.
Okay?
Good deal.
Thank you, David.
Thanks for your information. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
So you be,
Tuck. Yeah, you can just leave it right here, it'd be fine.
Barry, will you be able to hook up to that and the judge can,
Okay,
you don't have to haul them up here?
no
Huh?
problem. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks for the support.
Yeah.
Chad, I'm gonna need your help with that.
Well, in fact, they built a room when they built it.
That would be, it might be, that'd be good if you could.
In fact, when they built the jail, they built a room out there in the lobby part for that.
The technology's changing so much. Before they looked at, it's gonna be like, what, $100,000 to, because you had to go each place. If this gets in place, I don't think you have to do all that.
I mean, if this gets in place, and we'll probably be able to move forward, I mean, that's would be helpful, not only for us, but
Yeah.
Jump around
I
again.
know they had that in mind when they built it.
I'm gonna jump around again on the agenda. I know you're here for Relay for Life, and I think it's a very good thing. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, and I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you coming.
Susie O'Daniel, a representative of American Cancer Society of Relay for Life, and I'm asking for your sponsorship again this year, continue from the years before.
2,500 is what we typically do.
Motion,
Mr. Masters?
yes.
Mr. Bishop? Yes. Mr. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Wicker?
Yes.
Dennis?
Thank you, that is a good cause.
Thank you. Do you have a,
The date's June 23rd.
June?
At the airport.
23rd?
June?
At the airport, yes.
we don't compete with the Central Picnic.
No, we're working on, we're not doing that. We're making sure we don't compete. We're making sure we don't.
Because last year.
Well, a couple of years we did, but we got it straight.
June 23rd.
Said,
June 23rd,
okay, at the airport?
at the airport.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Third item on the agenda is consider approval to provide medical insurance coverage for county employees. I've been in discussion a little bit with Melissa on this, and I'd like to table that till the next meeting. We've really only had one incident where it's created some problems, and the cost is about $20,000. So I'd like for y'all to take a look at that information that you got in your packet and
Sound good.
report back to the next meeting.
This doesn't pertain to the,
The air methods.
Air
and the
okay.
product.
Everybody,
yeah.
We covered no matter who picks them up, is that correct?
One thing we've noticed is that the way that medical coding, we had one issue with the county employee that the coding, I think, is what caused the problem. We've had several other people that have used Air-Evac and Air Methods and didn't have any problem whatsoever. So we're trying to save as much as we can. We're going to look into it a little bit more before we make a decision. So if you all don't mind to please go through that and look at it. And, at the next meeting, just let me know what you decide to do.
And this is the helicopter deal?
It is.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
we haven't had, what, one incident of that?
One's all we've had any issues with, so.
I don't remember anything else in the 15 years I've been here.
Resolve that, or what did that person have to end up paying?
We're working on it. It's a lot less than we original bill was, so we've about got it worked out, but it is a stressful situation for employees, so we're trying to see what we can come up with, so y'all check those out.
What was the initial quote on that helicopter ride?
So we,
I don't know exactly what it is.
what you're talking about, we pay all of it? Or,
Well, that's what y'all think about it.
We looked at paying part or all of it before, so.
Yeah, y'all take a look at it and let me know what you think.
All right.
Item number 4, consider approval of transfer of funds for EMS.
Second.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Item number 5, consider approval to participate in the reverse salt process through KCO.
second? Yes.
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 Under old business and new business, consider approval to purchase a copier for the Career Center. There's a couple bids in your all's packets that have looked at it. I'd like for you all to let me get somebody else to look at those. They're awful close to compare the machines that we're talking about and give me the authority to do so.
Well, let the people gonna use it make a decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're awful close. I mean, you can't get much closer than that, really. So
You need
I would like to have
are you gonna, a motion to look at it and then
Yeah.
pick the best?
pick the best of the two.
Second. Yeah.
Yes, second.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Quest?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher? Yes. Mr. Wicker? Yes. Both of them in the same packet?
Yeah, it should be in there, Jack. There's one in there for color as well, and that's pretty expensive, so
You don't need the color?
we don't need the color. It'd be nice, but we can do without it, I think. I'm gonna jump down here to item D, consider approval to pay J. Ettinger and Son for the diesel motor at the transfer station.
Motion.
Second.
Everything's
Yes.
working good, isn't it, Jimmy? All of it's functioning? Okay.
Bishop? Yes. Mr. Well,
Yes.
and Mr. Wicker?
Department reports. Jimmy?
The road we discussed about blacktopping, they'll be finished one day next week, they've done started on. We have received, transfer station road tractor truck today. I took one load with myself, and it seems like everything's all right about it. The air's out there, it's working good, ain't been going out the road, picking up those garbage.
Good.
I believe that's a good thing that we've done. I'd like to ask y'all if I could go on and order a garbage truck for 2018-19 after July. Okay, it takes a while to get it.
Motion to advertise up in July for the garbage
Second.
truck.
We ain't got to advertise it.
Oh, yeah, statement, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Motion to proceed then.
Second.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Mr. Bishop,
Yes.
Mr. Wade,
Yes.
Mr. Wade.
Anything else going on, all right, Jim?
Everything going good, yes.
Good deal.
Working out good for you?
Yes.
That'll save us money in the long run. It already has, but.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Keith Brock?
I don't have anything else. I'm about got the grant together for the chip seal grant for County School Health Road. Jimmy gave me the estimate the county had heard a while ago, and we're going to await the rubberized part of it. We've got to get an estimate out of Tennessee for that one. But the deadline for submission of that grant is June 5th. So we should be able to get it in the mail then, and hopefully we'll get it. And I'm sorry, Craig, that we couldn't do Larry Hunt Road, but they just wouldn't, there wasn't incentive to put in on for that, because it was dead end road.
I was asked about it again this week, and I broke the news to them, so.
Do they,
I would have done it if I could have, but
If we come up with any other projects or grants or something that we could possibly get that in there.
And, you know, I couldn't get a wall on grants, and we'll see.
Appreciate it.
do they use that machine to put down our part of the chip seal?
I'm going to have to get somebody out of Tennessee. For this rubberized liquid, it takes an agitator to spray this stuff.
I thought they did it. They don't do it? They
Can't
just,
Gary sit on top of the truck and agitate it?
Yes, we could. Gaddy Shamrock is about the closest place that does this, and they don't even do this rubberized liquid that Keith is getting his grant for.
yeah, we had them up here one time.
Yeah, yeah. They gonna do our part.
Shamrock is?
Yeah. If he gets his grant, they gave me a figure here of their part.
Okay.
But, I've got to get somebody else to come in here and lay this special liquid that he's trying to get the grant for.
So how much,
Everybody local does it.
you don't know how much it's gonna cost?
For their part, it's roughly $20,000.
I mean, they gonna pay for the,
They supposed to
They pay for the
us
machine.
Right, Pete, for the, yeah, for the.
So it's still not gonna cost us.
They'll pay for the state part, which is the rubberized part, and we pay for our part.
plus,
Our part will be $19,700 for half of the road.
yeah, plus they pay for the equipment that's got to come and put it.
Yes, they'll pay for everything that do their part. It's a matter of getting estimates to it.
Anybody else, Keith? Thank you, sir. Barry?
Just a reminder, our meeting is May 8th at 4:30. It's jail. Time to go over some jail operations. I will tell you, we've had a few cases in the last couple of weeks. We had 4 arrestees from out of town a couple of weeks ago, and they claimed to be positive hepatitis A. We quarantined them, and actually they followed up, and we did verify that one of them for sure was hepatitis A, and they're intravenous drug users. So it's a scare for us. I mean, it's always a potential. And then we got notified this morning. We've had some inmates moved around in the state. Some neighboring counties have some issues with hepatitis A. So I mean, it's probably one of those things that we all need to. It's not always going to stay in Louisville and the metropolitan areas. That stuff will work its way out into these rural counties with this intravenous drug use that's going on.
Is that what these little slips are about to hit?
So we're actually, our insurance will cover us to get those shots. I think we're gonna get that lined up.
She's getting that line.
So what about the inmates? Are you gonna give them shots too?
No, I mean, actually, I don't have any, right now, I don't have any reason to think that we've got anything. Every case that we've got, we're just testing, and we haven't got, it's not running for outbreak like some of the other jails are. But it is cautionary, so we're trying to stay on top of it. It's concern for the staff, concern for the operation, concern for our county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's your new system working?
Good. Trying to get used to it. The phone system stuff, yeah, good. So Tuesday at 4:30?
30. Anything else?
Training building, training building.
Train building.
Thank you, Barry, appreciate it. Robbie?
For the month of April, we done 244 calls. From January to April, 1,007. Our new truck, we got it on station going. Fitting back off in the rear end and leave some hydraulic fluid. This will be in tomorrow. Then we got it out there for $400,000+ truck and a $5 piece cause it's a problem.
Didn't run anything?
No,
Just
no,
leaked some
just
fluid?
gotta get the fluid back in the leak system and be ready to go.
Chain's only as strong as the weakest link, okay?
I'm telling you. And other than that, I'd like to hire Alex Mann as a part-time EMT. That's a line.
Motion.
Mr. Masters,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Coyle,
Yes.
Mr. Weir,
yes.
that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Laurie?
I'm gonna let Gary talk to you about the sirens. He and Alex have been working on those.
Yes. After last week was a lot of hoorah about sirens not being fixed, which was completely inaccurate. Alex has done one heck of a job since he took over. Chris Coyle came on board. Plus we got three other sirens. We got 2 of them put up, and we got the third one for spare parts. And we're cannibalizing that one for parts also to fix the one that's a gravel switch that is possibly an oscillator board. It's one of 2 boards, an oscillator board or it's an amplifier board. I don't know for sure, because he doesn't know for sure, because we don't have a 60-foot lift. Now, he's approached other personnel that have equipment. I cannot answer for them, nor could you answer for me if I had run something through you. No, it's somebody else's business, they're doing it on their off time, maybe volunteering, I can't answer it. But there's one thing I would like to see you guys seriously think about, is looking at a top lift, high lift, because it's going to be needed sometime down the road, especially as these sirens are aging out. Now, the last couple that were not sufficient was due to batteries, okay? And just like a car battery. No, he replaced them all last year. We had one electric supply that gives the turtle charge on it was disconnected. Simple, pull the plug. We had another one near one of the schools there, and somebody come in and was doing maintenance, so they flipped the breaker. Guess what? Breaker never came back on. So those batteries got cold, froze, just like the ones that we had down in Gravel Switch and Bradfordsville, Calvary, St. Joe, St. Charles, and Loretto. All right, so he's replaced all those batteries. He's tested every one personally there, visually, and called up 11 PD, and they done the test and watched them go, and it's all passed. The one in Gravel Switch, we're still waiting on somebody. Now, people have told me names. I relayed them to him. He has contact with somebody, but I have no control over another person. Now, Alex, somebody else was spouting that they wanted these fixed and get taken care of. I will defend Alex to the day I die. There is nobody who doesn't put his heart in it, and he takes care of the county because he lives here. If it's not good enough for his family, it's not good enough for anybody else. So he will take care of it on this. They were all fixed in a timely manner.
Listen, I think Alex does, I think Alex does a great job. I'm not sure he's got a lot to work with as far as the equipment itself. These things have been an issue since day one.
Yeah, I think that's more what we were saying is we want to test setup. We want to make sure they're tested so they're there for the reason, that we have them. I know Alex is busy. We're not downing him at all. And I think he's done a great job as well. But what we said is whatever he needs, we'll make sure he has to make sure these are working. We'll get them all working, and then we'll have a test set up so we know they're getting tested every month or the second Tuesday of every.
They're due to be tested next week.
So, I mean, they're very important, and we're in the middle of storm season here in the spring, and so far we've dodged bullets. But, I've got the utmost respect for Alex, and I know he's really trying and trying to get them going. And like Steve said, we don't have a lot to work with on them.
Unfortunately.
But whatever we need, we'll make sure that we get.
That is something that you guys want to consider is taking a certain amount set aside to purchase a new sirens, because these are 2 decades plus old. They do function. Okay, not a problem with them. But it's just like any other mechanical apparatus. Prone to have a problem. All right? It's like taking a car, taking it in for a tune-up. 2 weeks later, the battery dies. Well, it's got nothing to do with the tune-up. The battery was just, fix the battery. Go down the road, you got a flat tire. Well, that's got nothing to do with the running of the car. It's just bad luck. It's coincidental. Problem is, all this happened within a certain time frame, and someone wants to point fingers. I don't know if there's anything to point at. The biggest thing that got us in trouble was when the new console got installed. Whoever installed the console took out the system that did the paging for these sirens. Because it had its own amplifier, it had a computer base, and it had a computer screen so they could watch it. Whoever worked on it, and I don't know who did, it's not my responsibility, but when they finished putting together, they never reattached all the hardware that was removed. So 1, where's the hardware? 2, why didn't they attach it? And 3, can they reattach it and now it'd be feasible? Or do we gotta look at a new program, because the 2 that we got from Nelson County are slightly different programs, and we need to get them all up on the new program. So we got a computer that will do Windows 94. That's how old these are. These run off Windows 94 base. So he's got that, and you can program them, but until we can.
Did we verify that the one at St. Joe will set off with something about it had to be set off individually, and maybe because of the programming?
St. Joe's and Rosewood. The dispatcher has the code, the actual 4-digit code. Alex went up there and wrote it for them. I have it, I know it. I don't know if Laura remembers it or not, but they had it there. In order to put that in the system so that we now our setup is just doing it's 7, we're doing 9. The problem is the system it's operating on won't take this new code. That's why we got to update the operating system. The only way you're going to get those 2, Rosewood and St. Joe, to function, to activate, is them manually entering it themselves. So it's there. And I can't do nothing about it. It's a programming issue. And we got to get a new program for it. And all it is
who do we contact for that? Who do we?
you your best bet is you, or Steve, or you guys go talk to Alex directly.
I'll
Now,
call.
I can get some information, but it's better to hear it from the horse's mouth. That way there's no miscommunication. No, he said, she said.
Sounds
Anything
good.
else?
I'll say something to Alex and just tell him to tell us what we need.
Yeah, no, the one thing is, of course, we're dealing with whaling, and there's nobody that's whaling here in this county except for, as far as I know, is Alex. And some of this technology, unfortunately, you know, electronics, something that's developed today is outdated next year. We got good systems, but he's got several proposals. He wants to bring in, work out the contract on doing testing, maybe even more than once a month during the bad season. So, Steve, you can talk to him about that also, and you can tell your fellow magistrates more about it. But, like I said, you two talk to him directly, and that way you guys can express your concerns, if any, and then he can go from there.
Thank you, Gary. Laura, you got anything?
Trying to help.
That's all.
Okay,
Still working on grants.
good deal. Larry, anything on the animal shelter?
No, I didn't get to talk to her today. She was out on a run, and so I didn't, as far as I know, everything's okay. She didn't, last time I spoke with her, she didn't have any problems.
Terry's not here, but she did put a report. Elizabeth did start up there Tuesday. If you look at the report, folks, we got a lot of jobs still to fill in Marion County. So if you want anybody looking for a job, again, send them to the Career Center. Please, we need you. We've got plenty of jobs.
So now, if one of them goes out on these job fairs, somebody else will be there to run the show.
Exactly, yeah. There's plenty going on. I think Mary Lou's here, she can vouch for that. There's plenty going on in jobs, so. The next item is executive session 61-810F, discussion of employee appointment, discipline, or dismissal.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Masters,
Yes.
Mr. Coyle,
Yes.
Mr. Bishop, Mr. Whitaker.